Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a great day so far and welcome to today's video where I'm going to be trying some new exciting makeup with you guys. I have the latest Dior Backstage palette, the Warm Essentials little eyeshadow number. I have one of the new bronzers and highlighters from Lancome with this absolutely glorious packaging. I have one of the new blushes from Fenty, a Lash primer and mascara from Lancome, and Lisa Eldridge's new Balm Embrace melting lip colours. So if you want to know how I get on with these products, how they work and apply, and all of my thoughts on them, then keep watching. Okay, so I don't have a new foundation or base product to try today, but I did pick up the correct shade, my favourite shade of the Tom Ford Soft Matte Architecture foundation, that is Shell Beige. It is a little darker than Shell Beige in the Shade and Illuminate foundation I found, but that could just be because it is much more full coverage and more matte, and they tend to, you know, dry down and develop a bit deeper than a typical sort of more luminous medium coverage foundation like the Shade and Illuminate. So I'm going to use my Forever Glow Star Filter in the shade 4. This is the deeper shade that I picked up in advance of summer because I was thinking this was going to be a good sort of evening up product, and now that I've been away and I've picked up quite a bit of colour to my skin, my ring line there will give you an idea of the before and after. My face is already quite a bit lighter than my body. It doesn't really look so bad today because I used the Charlotte Tilbury tanning drops, bronzing drops on my face yesterday. So I've kind of slightly counted the wild difference that there now is between my face and my body. But yeah, it's not looking as crazy today because I've used those tanning drops, which is ideal. But if I don't have those already applied, because they do take a few hours to develop, then this is a sort of product that I love to use to kind of even up between my more tanned body and my very pasty face. So this is definitely a foundation that I realised once I picked up a tan I was going to need my summer shade in, because despite being a more matte foundation, which isn't typically my preference, as you guys know, as you guys are well aware by now I'm sure, this foundation really serves a kind of unique special purpose in my collection because it just is so bulletproof, especially when it comes to like warm weather, long days, humidity. It's so bulletproof. It wears so well under challenging conditions that I really did not want to be without it in a more wearable shade. This shade of Shell Beige, I mean, Shell Beige is such a good undertone for me. You know, a really nice sort of neutral olive undertone, but the great thing about it is it's one of these shades that I can sort of get away with in winter or in summer. It might be a hair too deep in the starkest winter, and it will definitely be lighter than my body in summer, but it's a nice sort of in-between face and body shade for me, and the undertone is so good for me that I would rather, you know, the shade be a bit too light or a bit too deep, because the undertone just makes up for that. Like, to me, that's the priority. To match undertone is more important, because I feel like if that is off, it just never is going to look good. Whereas if something is a little too deep or a little too light, you know, bronzer or concealer can kind of balance it out. But yeah, I quickly realised that I was hankering after having this foundation in a deeper shade once I picked up a tan, because it's just so reliable for days when you know it's going to be put to the test. So concealer, I'm using my Huda concealer today. Again, don't have a new concealer to try yet, although I know that Lisa Eldridge one is coming very soon. You know, she's been teasing us with that one for quite a while now. We are ready. We have been ready, Lisa. Come on, give it to us. Setting that with my Givenchy Prisma Libre powder. No cream products today, just checking. No, no cream products today, so I don't need to worry about holding off on powder. I love this powder so much. Typically when I go away and travel, I don't take powder because a pressed powder like the Pat McGrath that I've been using for years, it's very easy to smash, you know, on a car journey or on a plane journey. Certainly that is a high risk product. So I typically just go without powder whenever I travel, but I was able to get my hands on the mini size of this powder, and so I did take that with me, and oh, what a treat. I just can't be without it now. Okay, so I'm going to move on to eyeshadow now, and this is of course the latest Backstage palette from Dior. This is Warm Essentials. Here she is. I'm really hankering after peachy shades when it comes to the summer, and I feel like the only sort of option I really have is the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk Instant Eye palette, the, you know, larger original one, and it's like years old now. I still love it, but I really wish I had something along those lines that was a bit newer. I wish Charlotte would give us an updated version of that palette, because I just feel like that we get a lot of warm tones, you know, more bronzy shades, coppers, things like that, but sort of peachy, a range of peachy neutral shades. There isn't that many eyeshadow palettes, and I really love a peachy shade in summer. So I'm going to start off with this transition shade. Nice light wash. Give us something to blend into. I'm not typically a huge fan of these palettes. They're just quite understated. For me, I love a bit more shimmer, a bit more intensity, and these are typically very soft and unstated, and that's just not typically my jam, but they do excellent colour stories. So I'm always kind of drawn to them. And the last one I purchased, was it the khaki neutrals, the greener palette, I really liked, and it just worked so beautifully. They have great colour stories in these palettes. It's just, I wish there was a little bit more kapow from them, but the formulas are very solid, really soft, lovely blends, very smooth, just not the most intense. So I'm going to go down to this little number in the middle there, really get some peachiness going. I've really only used this palette once so far, and I did quite a quick, easy neutral look because I was in a rush. So I really haven't played a lot with the peachier tones in here yet, so I'm quite excited today. This is my first video I'm filming since I've been away. I haven't filmed for like 3 weeks, so I definitely feel pretty rusty, pretty unsure as to what's going on, to be honest. You know, a little bit lost, a little bit confused, but you know, what's new? Super pretty. I just feel like these sort of peachy shades just scream summer. I'm already wishing I'd done my eyes first, because you see this? A little bit of fallout going there. I really wish this palette had a mirror as well. That's the only other thing. I know this packaging is like designed for sort of professionals, you know, stacking in your kit, very nice and thin and travel friendly and light. So I get why they didn't include a mirror, but personally for the way I use makeup and how I do makeup, I wish it had a mirror. Definitely quite a lot of buildability with these shadows as well. You know, that peachy shade really started off quite subtle, but it's built really nicely. And I think the good thing about there not being really intense, like sparkly, shimmery shades in here is you can really use the shadows in more places. You know, that shade has a bit of a satin sort of shine to it, but you can easily use it in the crease and all over the lid without it being like, you know, you've got glitter all over your whole entire eye area. So in the name of going full peach mode today, let's dabbity-doo-dah into this peachy number there. It's more orange, that shade. I'm a little bit scared. But let's see. Yeah, you see, much more subtle, less scary than you might have thought, especially going over the top of that deeper shade there. It's just kind of brightening everything up a bit, giving me a bit more of an orange, lighter peachy feel there, but nothing crazily intense still. And then I'm going to pop this lightest shade in the inner corner, brighten everything up, give me a bit of a pop there. But you know, still not a pop as we would typically know it. You know, that's a very almost white pearly shade there, and yet still quite subtle and understated. Very beginner friendly, these palettes, because you can't really go far wrong. You just whack everything on and it'll all be all right. You know, it's very like mistake proof, idiot proof, easy to use, not wildly intense and intimidating. Ouch, my elbow. Definitely got quite a bit of fallout during this process, so you know you have been warned. Very sparkly under eyes now. Great. Just going to fix this little bit of peachiness that went over here under this eye with a brush and a bit of my concealer on the back of my hand. A little extra bonus trick for you. Any fallout that occurs like that and you don't want a whole peachy face, this is what I would do. Don't know about you. Resetting that area. Bob's your uncle, no one would be any the wiser. Shh, don't tell the others. And I'm just going to use a little bit of this shade in the middle under the lower lash line. Keep it quite light though. Okay, so I was sent this new little duo of mascara products. The Hypnose Drama Mascara and also this Lash Primer, little team. So I'm going to start off with the primer and see how dramatic we can get these lashes. I'm not a fan of lash primers or mascara primers in general. I just feel like if a mascara is great, you shouldn't need this. It's just like an extra thing to buy and an extra step, isn't it? That I feel like it shouldn't really need. I feel like with the mascara can do, you know, its thing by itself. I don't know why we need this. It's just an extra step and an extra product to buy when you could probably just do another coat of mascara and be good, you know. But for the science, we're going to give it a go today. I'm just going to let that sort of settle a little while we do bronzer. So this is the new Lancome Skin Transforming Bronzer. I picked up the shade 3 because it looked a bit more neutral than a lot of the other shades, and it is a nice neutral bronzer, but it's a little lighter than I was expecting. However, I did use this at the weekend and it does build really nicely. It is a matte bronzer and I do prefer a little bit of luminosity to my bronzers, so I don't think this is going to be like a new absolute favourite, but it's a very smooth. The packaging is gorgeous and that embossing, but that is not going to last very long. Like, it's almost on its way out with a couple of uses. But you know, it was pretty to look at for those first couple of uses, but yeah, it's not going to hang around for very long at all. But this is a really lovely neutral bronzer. If you prefer a more matte bronzer, this is beautiful. Very smooth, very buildable, very kind on any textured areas. Very light fragrance, a little like really getting my nose right involved in that compact. I can smell a light fragrance, but I can't smell it when applying at all. So good if you are not a fan of smelling a lot of perfume wafting right up your nasal passages while you're doing your bronzer, you know. The bronzer that this one kind of reminds me of the most is potentially the YSL. I feel like they're kind of on a par, very similar. The YSL has like the flashier, more hefty packaging, that leather cover, but they are similar in finish and texture and everything. This is just such a beautiful shade though. I definitely get a lot of use out of this because it's just such a nice neutral shade. Which so many of us love a good neutral bronzer, don't we? And they're kind of hard to find. Okay, so going back to those lashes now and the actual mascara. This is a big old wand. It's very easy to poke yourself dramatically in the eye. It's also very easy to make a massive mess and get this all over your lid and destroy your eyeshadow. So I'm very, very concentrated right now. You know, talk amongst yourselves. Quite a wet formula. I feel like there's the potential to really make a very big mess with this mascara because the wand is huge, or the brush I should say is huge. It is quite a wet formula, you know, like as you're applying it, it feels wet on your lashes and wherever you're touching your lash line or anything feels very wet, so there's potential for a lot of transfer while you're applying, especially if you have long lashes that touch your skin like mine, then you could make a real mess, so you do need to be a little careful. Definitely one that's super tricky to use on the lower lash line because the wand is large, you know? So for like one coat of the actual mascara, that's a really nice dramatic effect. Obviously we have used the primer, but yeah, for sure you can, you know, do less coats of mascara, but I feel like it's basically the equivalent of just 2 coats of mascara and you don't have to buy another product. I don't know if it's just me that thinks that. So I also have one of the, that's the bronzer again. It's the highlighter. I also have one of the new highlighters from Lancome. This is shade 2 Medium Glow, the middle shade, again with that gorgeous packaging and the beautiful flower embossing. This shade I think absolutely perfect for my skin tone. It did surprise me. I thought this was going to be a really subtle, understated glow, and it's pretty out there. It's pretty metallic, which I wasn't really expecting. So I'm going to do highlighter on this side first, and I'm going to use the Fenty blush without highlighter on this side because I just want you to see the finish of it without highlighter. So let me just say, I know this is looking like it's really subtle and I just said it wasn't, but I'm literally using this so lightly because when I used this the first time, I was shook a doodah, okay? I was shooketh to my very core. My bones were chilled. It was very dramatic. And I spent, you know, a good few minutes blending like my life depended on it because it really, I got carried away and I didn't do anything crazy, okay? You know, that's what happened. Exactly, that was a recreation. So I'm just gonna show you, do you see? You see that? How quickly it gets carried away. So proceed with caution. Do you see how much texture just like leapt onto my skin there? Did you see that? I think you did. It's crazy. So my advice is go easy, go gentle, tiptoe towards the highlighter and you get a really lovely, pretty glow. I'm going to show you the Fenty blush on this cheek first without the highlighter so you can see the finish of it. This is really the month of the packaging, isn't it? Is that not the most stunning packaging you've ever seen? So pretty. And there she is. So this shade is Fresh Peach. I believe it's the lightest shade. I've already ordered another shade because I watched Kate the Great's video and she had a different shade and I immediately needed the shade that she had. I think she had Juicy Peach, so I've ordered that shade now. But you see there, it's very much a highlighting blush. Gorgeous. So I did want to show you the blush on its own without highlighter so you can actually see the finish of it and the glow that comes from it as opposed to just not really knowing whether it's the highlighter or the blush. But you see the actual colour of this is very much, it's really just a highlighter for me. I can really build this up and get a little bit of a blush. There you go, a bit of peachiness coming in now, but then you start to get the shift, so the colour can be a little bit off. So I think I'll prefer the deeper shade that I've picked up that is on its way, winging its way to me any moment. So you see there, I'm mostly getting a sort of a gold, very much like a highlighter from this blush, and the actual colour of it isn't sort of shining, it's not thriving as much because it's a little light. I'm getting mostly highlight and less blush. Let's finish this cheek off over here. Very, very subtle unless I really build it, and then you really start to get a lot of the gold, so then I don't love the colour. So I think I will get along better with the other shade, but given this is so sheeny, you know, there's really not a huge amount of texture pulling through, which I was impressed by, much less than there was, you know, that came through after I used the Lancome highlighter. So really love that, very smooth, beautiful sheen, very goddess-like. I wish I'd had a lot of these products before I went on holiday, to be honest. I went too soon. I should have hung around. Just going to give this a little bit of a bufferoo. So there's no highlighter on this face. I've only got one face. There's no highlighter on this cheek, on this side. It's just the blush. And this is highlighter and blush. Gorgeous. Really like those blushes. I knew that I would. I'm going back for more mascara, of course. And now for these new lippies from Lisa Eldridge. I was so excited about these. These were waiting for me when I got home. This was one of the most exciting launches that happened while I was on holiday, and I was so excited to get back and be able to try them. Another product I wish I had been able to take with me on holiday, just perfect, these balmy formulas. So this is the shade Sweet Fig, the lightest of the three that I picked up. It's just so pretty and easygoing. I feel like these could be really giving my Dior addicts a run for their money. There's just something about the shine of these that is perfect. It's the sweetest spot of shine. It's not a gloss, it's this really pretty, like elegant shine. It's juicy but very natural. The formula is so light and hydrating and thin, but you get this glass-like shine that is so smooth. I think smoother and more jelly-like than the Dior Addicts. Oh, it's just so pretty. The one thing that I would say I would change if personally this was like my, you know, made for me, is that these are fragrance free. So all of Lisa's products are fragrance free as well as cruelty free, and that is amazing. And for the vast majority of people, that's the right thing to do, because a lot of people are bothered by fragrance or might be sensitive to fragrance, have a reaction to fragrance in makeup. So it's the right thing to make everything fragrance free. But when it comes to like balmy lip products, like I sometimes get, you know, a bit of a taste of it. And, you know, I personally would prefer, you know, a vanilla or a fruity flavour rather than that, just that sort of natural, like, is it like almost a Play-Doh-y sort of smell or taste if you do accidentally eat some while applying, which I don't know if it's just me that does that, but I do. But I wouldn't change that because, like I said, it's more important that people are able to use these products who are sensitive to fragrance than me, you know, enjoying tasting them. So yeah, absolutely the right thing that these are fragrance free, but that's just the one, I like to give a bit of balance, you know, to my reviews. And that's the one thing that if I could change it for my own personal preferences, I like a bit of fragrance and a little bit of a nice snack with my lipsticks, but I love that they're fragrance free for people who wouldn't be able to use them otherwise. So I understand it, but that's just the one thing that I could, if I had to, if you know, pinned me by my arms to say something negative about them, that's the only thing I can come up with. Clutching at straws, to be honest. So I purchased 3 shades. This is Sweet Fig that I'm wearing today. Then we have Épanoui, and then we have Metropolis. So Sweet Fig, Épanoui, Metropolis. Glorious. Oh my gosh, there's just something about it. The finish, it's so like jelly-like. They are so hydrating. Perfect summer lip products. I wish there were 30 shades. I would have bought, although maybe I don't, because I would have bought probably 30 shades if there had been 30. I'm going back for more already. Gorgeous. Okay, so let's run over my thoughts on everything that I tried today. First up, this Dior Backstage palette. It did more or less scratch the itch that I've been having for peachy eyeshadow palette since the days of the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk palette. I wish, like I do all of these palettes, it was a bit more impactful, that the colours were just a little more kapow, that the shimmers were a little more, you know, gave me a bit more light and shade between the mattes and the shimmers. But it is undoubtedly a very pretty, easygoing peachy palette. It was exactly what I was expecting it to be. I didn't expect them to suddenly, you know, give me Pat McGrath metallics or anything. And they're some really pretty shadows. So I am very happy with it. And I think I'll get a lot of use out of that because there really just isn't that many peachy palettes on the market, orangey peachy palettes. I feel like there's, you know, like I said, there's a lot of warm neutrals, a lot of warm tones, but everything kind of tends to run a bit more browny reddish than these real lovely peaches. And I love the color stories that Dior do. The formulas in here are lovely, blend really nicely. Definitely got a bit more fallout from this palette than I have others previously, but yeah, not a big deal. Typically I do my eyes first anyway. I am really pleased with it. It's exactly what I was hoping it would be. It's exactly what I was expecting. I was not disappointed, other than my usual disappointment that I just wish it was like Pat McGrath shimmer in there, but I knew it wasn't going to be. The formulas blend beautifully, very buildable shades, lots of variation in there, which again is sometimes something that Dior get wrong with these palettes. There's too many similar shades, but I don't think we've really got any repeats in here or any unnecessary shades. I feel like it's a very complete, cohesive, comprehensive, peachy colour story, which I really like and I'm sure I'll get a lot of use out of. The Lancome bronzer is a like. I don't know that I've grown to love it yet. I'll definitely keep on using everything in here and I'll keep you posted in my June roundup. These products won't be in my May roundup because it is now June. You know, that is how the months go. So I will keep trying and testing out all of these products over the next few weeks and give you some more longer term thoughts in my June roundup. But this is a really nice, more neutral bronzer, very flattering, very smooth, very buildable. I didn't think this shade would work for me once I was tanned, but it really does. It's really nice. I love the undertone. I typically prefer a more luminous bronzer. That's why I've loved the new RMS bronzers and the new Armani bronzer. Those are kind of more my cup of tea when it comes to a finish. But as a matte bronzer goes, this is really, really nice. Very easygoing, kind of on a par with the YSL All Hours bronzer. The packaging looks beautiful, but it is quite light, so it maybe doesn't feel as luxurious as you would expect because it's very light, which was surprising to me because it's so beautiful. I thought it would really, you know, feel weighty and luxurious in my hand, which it doesn't really, but it is beautiful to look at. The highlighter was a little disappointing to me because it is very metallic. It's really quite intense and I just wasn't expecting that. Lancome typically is, you know, very understated natural makeup, you on your best day, your skin but better type of vibes. Is that just me that believe that? I don't know. And previously their highlighters have been very understated. I was really hoping this was going to be a bit like the highlighter that is in the Louvre palette that I absolutely adore. You know, that soft, understated, lit from within glow. That's what I was expecting. The first time I used this, I thought, oh my goodness, holy moly. It was really intense. So now I have to use it with a very light hand. And I do feel like it enhances texture quite a bit because it is, you know, very shimmery. So yeah, for me personally, my preference when it comes to a highlighter, it's too intense for me to want to use every day. So that was a little sad. But if you have a different preference for highlighter, you want something really impactful metallic, you will most likely like the highlighter a lot more than I did. I just like a more understated, softer luminosity. These blushes from Fenty I think are so beautiful. The packaging is stunning, so pretty. And I love the product inside, despite it being very, very glowy, very highlighty, it's still quite flattering and smooth and juicy. You know, it's one of those sort of powder highlighters that manages to like give the effect of a cream almost. I definitely think I will prefer the deeper shade because I have to build this one up, like I said, to get a blush, and then I end up with a lot of gold as opposed to, you know, the peachier blush shade that I would love to be all over my cheek. So I think the deeper shade will be better for me, but the finish is so pretty. And given that it's so shimmery, it really doesn't enhance texture as much as you would expect. So yeah, I really like these. I think they're beautiful. I kind of wish there was a bit more variation between the shades though. You know, they're all very, very similar, but you know, what do I know? Not a lot. This mascara from Lancome, I have used this with and without the primer. The primer is clearly effective. It clearly gave us a really dramatic mascara in one very quick coat using the primer first. So it does work. I'm just not really one for buying another product. You know me, I'm lazy, I'm usually in a rush, so I don't really want to buy another product that I know I can get this mascara without this. I feel like this just is essentially another coat of mascara, and you could just do that with the mascara and save the money of buying the primer. Am I wrong? I don't know. Am I missing something? Tell me. So yes, it does do what it claims to. It does what it says on the tin, but it's not something that I personally would purchase. I would just rather do another coat of mascara. The mascara itself is beautiful, very dramatic. It is that clumpier, fatter lash, which isn't really my bag anymore. It used to be, like 5 years ago, the fatter, the clumpier, the better. But these days I like a more spiky, separated, fanned out lash. So this isn't really my taste of mascara anymore, but it's certainly dramatic. It's certainly full fat kapow impact. So I think it's a great mascara. It's just maybe not my style of mascara anymore. These lippies from Lisa Eldridge. I've already told you how much I love them. I adore these. Like I said, the finish, it really took me aback. When I first applied these, I was really wowed by the finish. And that's coming from someone who has a lot of lipsticks and also a lot of this type of lipstick, you know, that balmy, shiny, medium level of like opacity of color impact. That is really my absolute favorite type of lipsticks, especially in the summer months. I have a lot of these, and these just, there's something special about the finish. It's just so perfect. It's just the prettiest finish I've ever seen. So juicy, and yes, it is shiny, but it's not glossy. There's no stickiness. It feels like a really light lip mask. If you think of something like the Lash lip sleeping mask, but thinner and lighter, that's sort of what the finish of this looks like. Very comfortable, very lightweight, very hydrating, very easygoing colors, very wearable colors. I really like the packaging. It's skinnier than her Luxuriously Lucents, for example. There's also no magnets in here, so there's no magnetism. There's no magnetism in here either. So they have a click and a twist up, and they do twist back down, so they're not repelling each other. Easier to store, which I love. They're also skinnier, so you know, easy to pop in a handbag or a pocket and carry about with you. I love everything about them. You know, like I said, when I was applying them, for me personally, I wish they tasted of something like oranges. Fruity treat, but that's just me. I am actually pleased that they are fragrance free, because it means more people can use them without getting any irritation or having any problems. But you know, if you do get them in your mouth, it's not as pleasant of an experience as if they had, you know, a flavor or fragrance to them. So there you have it. That is all of these new products that I ordered or received while I was away on my holidays. Please let me know if you've tried any of these products, if you plan to pick anything up, if anything is tickling or pickle, or you're just passing all together. Please let me know all of your thoughts, as always, in the comment section down below. But I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, and I would love to see you in the next one. Otherwise, take care for now. Bye 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 bye.